of University Malaya. Professor Dr. Haji Abdul Ghani Abdullah, Law Professor at State Islamic University Syarif Hidayatullah, Jakarta, Indonesia, and former Supreme Court Judge. Professor Dr. Yaswirman, SHMH, Law Professor at Andalas University, Padang, West Sumatra, Indonesia. Professor Dr. Palmawati Tahir, SHMH, Law Professor at Sultan Ageng Tirtayasa University, Banten Province, Indonesia. Also, I would like to warmly and virtually welcome you all participants of the 5th International Conference in Islamic Law in Indonesia with the theme, The Rule of Islamic Law and Islamic Institution in Dealing with Global Disaster, organized by the Association of Indonesian Islamic Law Lecturer, ATHI, Islamic Studies Institute and Islamic Law, Faculty of Law, University of Indonesia, LKIHI FHUI, Faculty of Law, University of Indonesia, FHUI.
Ahlan wa sahlan, marhaban bi hudurikum jami'ul musyarikin fil mu'tamarid dawli al-khamis lisyari'atil islamiyyati fi Indonesia bi unwan Dawrus Syara'i'il Islamiyyati wal Mu'assasati fit ta'amuli ma'al kawarithil alamiyah alladzi nazamtahu jam'iyyatu muhadiril qanun al-islami al-Indonesi ADI wa ma'hadud dirasatil islamiyah wal qanuniyah kulliyatul qanun jami'atu Indonesia LKIHI FHUI wa kulliyatul qanun jami'atu Indonesia FHUI.
Praise our gratitude for the presence of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, for the abundance of His grace, taufiq, and guidance, so that we can attend the 5th International Conference in Islamic Law in Indonesia, which will be held for 2 days, starting today morning until tomorrow, which coincides on Tuesday and Wednesday, November 17th until 18th, 2020.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillahilladzi qad a'tana ni'matan wa hidayatan wa rahmatan hatta nastati'a an najtami'a fi hadzal mu'tamaril mubarak al-mu'tamarud dawli al-khamis lisyari'atil islamiyyati fi Indonesia alladzi in'aqada limuddati yawmaini ibtida'an min subahil yawm hatta yawmal ghaddi alladzi wafiqu yawmai thalatha wal arba'a min 17 ila 18 November fi amin 2020. Al-barnamijul awal huwa ghina'un aghniyatu Indonesia Raya.
For the next agenda is Sing the Song Indonesia Raya. Those on duty are welcome, please.
Nggak ada suara.
Syukran. Al-barnamiju tsani al-kalimatul lati sayulkiha amitu kulliyatul qanun jami'atu Indonesia. As-Sayyid Amidu Kulliyatil Qanun di Jami'ah Indonesia Ad-Duktur Edmond Makarim Eskom SH LLM. Falyatafaddal sa'adatuhu masykura.
The third agenda is keynote speaker from Dean of the Faculty of Law, University of Indonesia, Dr. Edmond Makarim, Eskom SH LLM. For Dr. Edmond Makarim, Eskom SH LLM, the floor is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of Allah, the most gracious and the most merciful, I would like to say our greatest gratitude to Allah who gives us blessing, guidance, and health to be able to meet online in this wonderful event despite this pandemic. First of all, I would like to give my highest gratitude to Asosiasi Dosen Hukum Islam Indonesia and Lembaga Kajian Hukum Islam dan Hukum Islam, Fakultas Hukum Universitas Indonesia, Faculty of Law Universitas Indonesia, for all the effort and hard work despite all challenges to make this conference happen. Secondly, let me express my gratitude to all the participants who are willing to share their ideas and knowledge by submitting and presenting their paper in the upcoming hours. I would also like to thank our honorable guests and participants who already allotted their time to attend this conference. All this conference would not be a success without your works and contribution. May Allah bless all of us. As we all know, right now we are living in the middle of unfortunate times. COVID-19 pandemic has brought extensive damage to every aspect of everyday life. COVID-19 does threaten our state of health and our social life, and notably our economy. We see the world economy plunged into recession after nations suffered from lockdown. Business stalled, people lost their job. On the other hand, criminal and racism level rises among the people, fueled by social and civil unrest. COVID-19 has shown us the true meaning of the global disaster, particularly non-natural disasters. We cannot ignore the profound and widespread effect of this pandemic. It's not only about Indonesia, South Asia, or the Muslim community and the other countries, but it's about the world and the entire human population. The best way we can do is doing a true collaboration to find a way to survive in these difficult times. We understand that law and policy have become staple need to retain and restore order in these desperate times. But the desperate times always require a desperate measures. Innovation and new way of thinking is necessary to break down and overcome the ever-evolving problems. According to Islamic value, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala teach us to establish weight in justice and do not make deficient the balance. Quran Surah Ar-Rahman verse 9. To be enacted on every occasion, including desperate times, and that in line with the law creed which said fiat justitia periat mundus, or law must be enacted even though the sky is falling. By this point, it is clear that justice and law play as the focal point of this disaster alleviation by fostering people to do the right thing and preventing the future problems. The 5th International Conference on Islamic Law in Indonesia will discuss further on how Islamic law and Islamic institution takes in dealing with the global disaster. Following this approach, we aim directly towards arising key issues of a global disaster, which include business security, force majeure, insolvency, employment issue, general prosperity, and enforcement of health protocol. Having guided by the principle of Sharia, which emphasize on the mutual benefit, transparency, and colloquial or musyawarah value. Islamic law and institution is a promising solution for us. Without further ado, I hope you will find a new insight and have a fruitful discussion in the upcoming hours. Most importantly, I hope we can produce a tremendous academic contribution as a foundation and guideline for future policy at the end of this session. With saying Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, in the name of Allah, the most gracious and the most merciful, I would declare that the 5th ICILI conference is now open. Follow this consecutive session. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I open with the 3 tab. I hope that the sound is heard by all of you in the speaker. Thank you. And I'll give the floor back to the moderator. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Tayyib, nashkuruhu ala kalimatihi wa tarhibihi tayyibah.
Thank you for Dr. Edmond Makarim, Eskom SHLLM, the welcome that has been delivered.
Wal'an nantakilu ilal barnamij tali urdul video min kulliyatil qanun bi Jami'ati Indonesia nusyahiduhu ma'an.
Fourth agenda is screening of video from the Faculty of Law, University of Indonesia, FHUI. To those on duty are welcome, please.
Indonesia, with its 4th largest population in the world and a wide variety of legal cases. As the cases become complex, reliable professionals in the field of law are more and more needed. In this 320 hectares area, Universitas Indonesia is built within a green atmosphere. This is due to the arrangement of the area, 25% for all academic activities, and the rest is all green areas such as forest park, lake, gardens, and special lanes for cycling. According to QS World University Rankings 2017-2018, Universitas Indonesia is the best university in Indonesia and ranked 277 out of more than 4,000 universities in the world that have been examined. The origin of Universitas Indonesia has already existed since 1849, in the period when Nusantara, the former name of Indonesia, was under the Dutch colonialism. The Faculty of Law Universitas Indonesia is one of the total 14 faculties in Universitas Indonesia, 1 vocational education program and 2 postgraduate programs. Built in 1909 with the name Rechtsschool by the Dutch colonial government, its status was promoted to Rechtshogeschool, or Higher Education Institution of Law, in October 28, 1924. This Faculty of Law is one of the oldest faculties in Universitas Indonesia and also the first law school in Indonesia. As one of the most influential Faculty of Laws in Indonesia, the Faculty of Law Universitas Indonesia determines to be the source of knowledge by producing reliable professionals in law and justice enforcement. Ever since its establishment, along its journey, Universitas Indonesia creates important and famous personage in the field of law. The Faculty of Law Universitas Indonesia offers various programs, bachelor programs that comprise regular class, parallel class, international class that cooperates with several universities abroad and prepare the students to be ready to meet the challenge of globalization. The partners from several countries, among others, Utrecht University, the Netherlands, University of Groningen, the Netherlands. Leiden University, the Netherlands. Erasmus University of Rotterdam, the Netherlands. The National University of Singapore, Singapore. University of Canberra, Australia. And Kobe University, Japan. The Faculty of Law Universitas Indonesia also has a double degree program that cooperates with several well-known universities abroad. Graduates are entitled to obtain 2 degrees from 2 universities, Bachelor of Laws and LLB.
So all in all, I've been incredibly pleased and very satisfied with the quality of education, as well as the huge variety of classes and activities available at the Faculty of Law at UI. I wouldn't hesitate to recommend for any Australian students or international students from anywhere else to come here and study and to learn about the law in Indonesia.
The Faculty of Law Universitas Indonesia provides a Master Program of Laws and Notarial Law and Doctorate Program of Laws. All educational programs in the Faculty of Law Universitas Indonesia are supported by lecturers who are competent in their field of expertise.
Pada saat ini kami memiliki mata-mata kuliah yang cukup mempunyai reputasi internasional yang diasuh oleh para dosen yang juga punya reputasi internasional. Jadi bukan hanya dikenal di Indonesia, tapi juga dikenal negara-negara lain. Kami juga melakukan berbagai komunikasi dengan teman-teman internasional. Sarana prasarana kami juga menyediakan video equipment conference yang memungkinkan kami berkomunikasi, melakukan diskusi, melakukan focus group discussion dengan teman-teman dari mancanegara dan juga tentunya di luar Jakarta. Ini penting supaya kami bisa mempercepat, mengakselerasi pertukaran informasi yang kami manfaatkan untuk pengembangan hukum di Indonesia. Kami Fakultas UI yang selalu nomor 1 dan top.
A number of professors from various universities abroad are often invited to share the international knowledge with the students. The lecturers in this faculty always take their active part in the global network, besides having great enthusiasm in sharing knowledge about law and justice to the public. The students of the Faculty of Law Universitas Indonesia make their studies in a cozy and comfortable environment. The facilities for study help the students to follow the international standard learning process. These facilities bring millions of creation and inspiration. Where the flags of science and culture are waving incessantly, the students are motivated to reach outstanding achievements within the national scope as well as international scope.
I started in 1969 and I finished in 1974. Law School University of Indonesia is the best law school in the country, and I'm proud to be accepted as law student at the Law School University of Indonesia because I have interacted with so many well-known, respected lecturers and professors from all over the country. Graduates from Law School University of Indonesia have succeeded in their career. Those are the proofs that we are better than the others. While those who join the Law School University of Indonesia, believe me, will not regret why they made the decision. Because Law School University of Indonesia is the best law school, and they'll be proud of being part of the law school in the future.
I never really have any doubt in my mind about choosing the place where I wanted to continue my study when I graduated from high school. Faculty of Law, University of Indonesia, my main #1 goal. The place that I want to study, seeing how the students are achieving their dreams, their goals, seeing how the teachers are accelerating their achievement and also their skills. I think that's more reason why any of you who still have any doubts or still considering a place where you want to continue your study, don't hesitate, choose Fakultas Hukum Universitas Indonesia.
The Faculty of Law Universitas Indonesia has an active role to build and protect the integrity of the nation by creating future global professionals in law and justice. The Faculty of Law Universitas Indonesia isn't just a law school. It's much more than that. It's a tradition.
Syukran.
Thank you.
Al-barnamij tali huwa tilawatul Qur'anil Karim wa sayaqra'uhu akhina Muhjami'atil Hati Surabaya. Falyatafaddal ala ziyadatihi mashkura.
Ladies and gentlemen, fifth agenda is reading Al-Quran by Muhammad Ihlal Fauqi As-Salami, student at State University of Surabaya. For him, the time is yours.
For Mr. Ihlal Fauqi As-Salami, the time is yours. Can you hear us, Mr. Fauqi As-Salami? Hello. I see your name on the list. You're still muted.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Ada suara. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا قيل لكم تفسحوا في المجالس إذا قيل لكم تفسحوا في المجالس فافسحوا يفسح الله لكم وإذا قيل انشزوا فانشزوا يرفع الله الذين آمنوا منكم والذين أوتوا العلم درجات والله بما تعملون خبير بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لو أنزلنا هذا القرآن على جبل لرأيته خاشعا خاشعا متصدعا من خشية الله وتلك الأمثال نضربها للناس لعلهم يتفكرون وتلك الأمثال نضربها للناس لعلهم يتفكرون صدق الله العظيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
السلام ورحمة الله.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Allahumma irhamna bil Qur'anil azim waj'alna min ahlil Qur'anil azim. Al-barnamij tali Urdu video Jam'iyati Muhadiri Syariatil Islamiyah Adi Ata'auna nusyahidihu ma'an.
Ladies and gentlemen, sixth agenda is screening of the activity video organized by the Indonesian Islamic Law Lecturer Association, ADHI. Let's watching the video together, please.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Perkenalkan, saya Wirdianingsih, Ketua Asosiasi Dosen Hukum Islam se-Indonesia atau ADHI. ADHI didirikan pada tanggal 24 Agustus 2015 di Depok, Jawa Barat. Anggota-anggotanya terdiri dari dosen hukum Islam, PTN, dan PTS di seluruh Indonesia. ADHI bertujuan untuk memajukan dan mengembangkan hukum Islam di seluruh Indonesia, mengadakan pertukaran informasi tentang perkembangan kurikulum hukum Islam baik dalam negeri maupun luar negeri, mengadakan pertemuan, pendidikan, dan pelatihan, konferensi, seminar, simposium, kuliah tamu di bidang hukum Islam, menjalin kerjasama dengan badan, instansi, atau lembaga negara dan lembaga keagamaan dalam rangka pengembangan hukum Islam, meningkatkan penyebaran informasi ilmiah antara lain buku ajar, makalah, jurnal nasional dan internasional, hasil penelitian, prosiding terkait dengan perkembangan materi hukum Islam di Indonesia. Adapun visi dan misi ADHI adalah visi ADHI menjawab wadah profesi bagi para pengajar, menjadi wadah profesi bagi para pengajar hukum Islam dalam menjalankan tridharma perguruan tinggi untuk mendorong dilakukannya pembaharuan hukum Islam nasional. Adapun misi dari ADHI adalah mengupayakan adanya standarisasi muatan kurikulum mata kuliah hukum Islam yang mengikuti perkembangan hukum dan masyarakat saat ini, meningkatkan kualitas anggotanya dalam melaksanakan kegiatan belajar mengajar, melaksanakan penelitian dan publikasi di bidang hukum Islam yang diarahkan untuk mendorong dilakukannya pembaharuan hukum nasional, melaksanakan pengabdian masyarakat dengan melakukan sosialisasi yang diarahkan pada pembaharuan hukum nasional.
Syukran. Al-Barnamij Tali. Kalimatul Raisi Jam'iyati Muhadiris Syariatil Islamiyatil Indonesia. Al-Azizah As-Sayyidah Dukturah Wirdianingsih SHMH faltatafaddal ala siyadatiha mashkura.
Next agenda, welcoming speech from the chairman of the Indonesian Islamic Law Lecturer Association, ADHI, Dr. Wirdianingsih SHMH. For Dr. Wirdianingsih SHMH, the time is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala isrofil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Amma ba'du. All praise to Allah alone, the most gracious and the most merciful. And also may peace be upon Allah's messenger, Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He is our greatest messenger, our beloved prophet, and our best role model. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to convey my greeting to Honorable Mr. Edmond Makarim, Eskom, SH-LLM, as a Dean of Faculty of Law, Universitas Indonesia. The honorable speakers, Datin Prof. Dr. Raihana binti Haja Abdullah from University Malaya, from Professor Dr. Dato Ahmad Kamil from International Islamic University Malaysia, Professor Dr. Haji Abdul Ghani Abdullah as a former Supreme Court judge, Professor Dr. Yas Wirman from Universitas Andalas Padang, dan Profesor Dr. Palmawati Taher SHMH from Universitas Sultan Ageng Tirtayasa, Banten. Actually, ICILI has invited Dr. Burhan Uluyol from Istanbul Sabahattin Zaim University, Turkey, and Dr. Josas Falkikus from Mykolas Romeris Law School in Lithuania. But we just got information that the speakers were sick and unable to join this conference. Get well soon, sir. Stafakumullah. The fellow professors, teachers, academics, activists, students, and supporters of Islamic law from Asosiasi Dosen Hukum Islam Indonesia or ADHI, as well as beloved participants and colleagues who attends this conference. May I take this opportunity to welcome you all. May Allah always showers you with His blessing, rahmah, and help. The fifth International Conference on Islamic Law is certainly a moment that we should all bless, savor, and enjoy. Despite we are now living in the middle of pandemic and uncertain situation, Alhamdulillah, we still have opportunity to meet face to face, even though we are far away apart. Technology has enabled us to meet in one moment. And most especially, our heart and spirit still unite as a family. In the following days, we will discuss how Islamic law and institutions play a role in disaster alleviation. As we all know that Sharia value contain valuable and great principle of mutual prosperity, harmony for all, and most importantly, it forbids haram or bad deed as such as riba, gharar, and fraud. We hope that fruitful discussion in this forum will bring a positive vibes and inspiration in utilizing Sharia law and institution for disaster alleviation. ICILI was started as a dream to conduct an international conference on Islamic law at non-Islamic university like Universitas Indonesia. We hope it would mold and guide the sustainable development for Islamic law, as well as to prepare future generation of Islamic law scholars, experts, and lawyers. I personally hope that this conference will benefit all of us and enlighten our mind and encourage ourselves to develop Islamic laws. I also hope this pandemic is over soon, that we, through ADI, will conduct the similar conference annually at different universities all over Indonesia as usual. So Islamic laws will be inshallah more exist and contribute more to the development of law in Nusantara. Also, I would like to extend our gratitude and thanks to all parties that have made it possible for this dream to become a reality, especially the Chairman Lembaga Kajian Islam dan Hukum Islam, Fakultas Hukum Universitas Indonesia or LKIHI FHUI, Pak Heru Susetyo SH LLM PhD, who was unable to attend this event due to illness. Jazakallah, sir. Particularly the dream team of ADI, LKIHI FHUI, and management of FHUI, not to mention all participants who come from all over Nusantara. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward us and grant us the best place both in the world and in the hereafter. Amin ya rabbal alamin. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wallahu muwafiq ila aqwamit thoriq. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Syukran lakum alal kalimati allati tamma taslimiha.
Thank you, Dr. Wirjaningsi, SHMH, for your welcoming speech.
طيب ننتقل إلى البرنامج التالي أردو فيديو من مؤسسة الدراسة الإسلامية والشريعة الإسلامية كلية القانون جامعة إندونيسيا LKH FHUI. Ta'awna nusyahiduhu ma'an.
Agenda is screening a video activity organized by the Institute for Islamic Studies and Islamic Law, Faculty of Law, University of Indonesia, LKIHI FHUI. Let's watching the video together, please.
Lembaga Kajian Islam dan Hukum Islam Fakultas Hukum Universitas Indonesia atau disebut LKIHI FHUI merupakan unit penelitian dan pengabdian masyarakat FHUI yang berfokus pada bidang-bidang keislaman dan hukum Islam. LKIHI FHUI berada di bawah naungan Joko Sutono Research Center. LKIHI FHUI bergeliat sejak tahun 1993 yang diinisiasi oleh Profesor Muhammad Daud Ali, Profesor Muhammad Tahir Azhari, Profesor Uswatun Hasanah, Ibu Neng Jubaidah PhD, dan saat ini dipimpin oleh Bapak Heru Susetyo PhD. LKIHI FHUI dalam giatnya senantiasa menjunjung tinggi nilai-nilai kemerdekaan ilmiah, keadilan, non-diskriminasi, non-partisipan, multikulturalisme, nilai-nilai kebangsaan dan Pancasila, serta 9 nilai dasar Universitas Indonesia. LKIHI FHUI memiliki program-program kegiatan berupa LKIHI Muda, yang merupakan kesempatan terbatas bagi mahasiswa FHUI dengan minat istimewa pada penelitian dan pengabdian masyarakat di bidang-bidang keislaman dan hukum Islam. Kegiatan LKIHI Muda meliputi penelitian dan kajian, penulisan ilmiah, diseminasi hasil-hasil penelitian dan kajian, pengorganisasian kegiatan-kegiatan ilmiah, pengarus utamaan, wacana publik, hingga pelibatan langsung dalam program-program pengabdian masyarakat LKIHI FHUI. Enlighten the world with Islam and Islamic law.
Al-Barnamij Tali Kalimatul li Raisi Muassasatil Dirasatil Islamiyah wa Syariatil Islamiyah Kulliyatil Qanun Jami'atu Indonesia Al-Fadil Ad-Duktur Heru Susetyo Nuswanto SH LLM MSI PhD Falyatafaddal alaihi mashkura.
Next agenda is welcoming speech Chairman Institute for Islamic Studies and Islamic Law, Faculty of Law, University of Indonesia, LKIHI FHUI, by Mr. Heru Susetyo Nuswanto, SH LLM MSc PhD, by record video. Students on duty are welcome, please.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. All praise be to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. Salawat dan salam delivered to our messenger Rasulullah Muhammad SAW. Bapak Ibu yang saya hormati, distinguished guests, speakers, participant from abroad as well as from Indonesia. Alhamdulillah, biiznillah, dengan izin Allah Subhanahu wa Taala kita bisa menyelenggarakan conference kelima dari ICILI atau International Confernce on Islamic Law Indonesia pada tahun 2020 ini pada tanggal 17 sampai dengan 18 November. Itu sungguh suatu nikmat yang Allah berikan kepada kita, walaupun di tengah pandemi COVID-19 kita bisa menyelenggarakannya. Di tengah segala hambatan transportasi, komunikasi, kesehatan dan sebagian kita. Untuk itu mari kita bersyukur kepada Allah SWT dan berdoa semoga conference ini bisa memberikan benefit yang luar biasa kepada pengembangan Islam dan hukum Islam di Indonesia. Saya Heru Susetio selaku Ketua Kajian Islam dan Hukum Islam di FHUI juga sebagai staf pengajar merasa sangat senang juga berterima kasih atas dukungan dari pimpinan Fakultas Hukum UI. Terima kasih banyak kepada Dekan Dr. Edmond Makarim, Wakil Dekan 1 Bapak Prof. Andri Bisana, Wakil Dekan 2 Bapak Parwen Retonang, dan juga yang luar biasa Bapak Ibu pengurus Asosiasi Dosen Hukum Islam Indonesia, terutama Ibu Wirdianingsih dan tim yang sangat luar biasa mensupport acara ini. Terima kasih atas kerjasamanya. Semoga mendapat barokah dan pahala dari Allah SWT. Juga kami sampaikan terima kasih sebanyak-banyaknya kepada The Dream Team, teman-teman, adik-adik, para pengurus Lembaga Kajian Islam dan Hukum Islam FHUI yang telah bekerja luar biasa di tengah pandemi, tetap menyelenggarakan acara ini di tengah kuliah, di tengah studi yang harus menjadi online, namun tetap bersemangat. Terima kasih, semoga menjadi amal jariah juga buat semua. Dan terakhir, kepada para partisipan, pembicara panel, pembicara plenary, juga para partisipan lainnya, terima kasih telah mempercayai ICILI 2020 sebagai satu ajang untuk bertukar pikiran untuk pengembangan hukum Islam di Indonesia. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, participants from abroad as well as from Indonesia, Alhamdulillah, bismillah, we can conduct this conference on 17 to 18 November 2020 by online mode. We are sorry that we cannot do this in offline mode because of pandemic COVID-19. But inshallah, there's so much go on. We need to always develop. We need to always extend and expand our knowledge amid of the health pandemic COVID-19. Again, thank you so much for everybody, for everyone, distinguished guests, participants, committees, colleges all over Indonesia and all over the world who make this conference take place this November 2020. Semoga Allah SWT meridhoi kita semua, memberkahi kita semua, dan mengizinkan kita menjadi orang-orang yang berkontribusi untuk pengembangan Islam dan hukum Islam di Indonesia dan di dunia. Salam sehat, tetap semangat. Semoga Allah SWT meridhoi kita semua. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih dan salam sejahtera.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Al-barnamij at-tali huwa ad-du'a alladhi sayaqra'u Ustadzuna As-Sutur Haji KN Sofyan Hasan SHMH. Falyatafaddal alaihi mashkura.
Before starting the main event, it is better if we pray first. That will be led by Mr. Dr. Haji KN Sofyan SHMH. For Mr. Dr. Haji KN Sofyan Hasan SHMS, the time is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Bapak Ibu, saudara-saudaraku, peserta konferensi Hukum Islam kelima yang insya Allah dirahmati Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Mengawali doa ini, mari kita sama-sama membaca umul kitab. Al-Fatihah ila hadratin Nabil Karim Mustafa Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa jurriyati wa ahlil baitil kiramil Fatihah. A'udzu billahi minasy syaithanir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin arrahmanir rahim maliki yaumiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim ghairil maghdubi 'alaihim waladdallin. Amin. A'udzu billahi minasy syaithanir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin wal 'aqibatu lil muttaqin wala 'udwana illa 'alal zalimin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asrafil anbiya wal mursalin sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Walhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Hamdan syakirin, hamdan na'imin, hamdan yuwaffi ni'amahu wa yukafi'u majidah. Ya Rabbana lakal hamdu kama yanbaghi li jalali wajhikal karim wa azim sultanik. Allahumma antas salam wa minkas salam wa ilaika ya'udus salam. Fahayyina Rabbana bis salam وادخلنا الجنة دار السلام تبارك ربنا وتعاليت يا ذا الجلال والإكرام رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي Rabbi zidni ilman warzuqni fahman. Segala puji dan syukur kami persembahkan hanya kepadamu ya Allah. Karena atas segala kidrah dan iradahmu, atas segala nikmatmu serta inayahmu, kami segenap yang hadir saat ini dapat engkau pertemukan silaturahmi dalam rangka, dalam jaringan online, dalam sebuah kegiatan konferensi internasional hukum Islam kelima di Indonesia. Pada hari ini Selasa tanggal 17 November 2020 yang diselenggarakan atas kerjasama ADHI dan LKIH FHUI. Untuk ini ya Allah, ya Rahman, ya Rahim. Jadikan kami terutama yang hadir saat ini dan para cerdik cendikia, para alim, serta para pemangku amanah di negeri ini, menjadi orang-orang yang senantiasa selalu mengharapkan pertolongan-Mu, bersyukur atas segala nikmat-Mu dan beribadah hanya kepadamu. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Allahumma ya qawiyu ya matin, ya wali ya hamid. Engkau yang maha kuat, maha kokoh, maha melindungi dan maha terpuji. Jadikanlah kami bangsa Indonesia para pencinta akan kedamaian, keselamatan, kesejahteraan dunia dan akhirat. Wabil khusus kami segenap yang hadir dalam konferensi ini sebagai warga bangsa yang kokoh, kuat dalam melaksanakan amanah, tugas-tugas yang kami emban sehingga siap menghadapi era global saat ini dalam rangka menuju masyarakat madani yang tetap berlandaskan kepada iman, ilmu dan amaliyah dalam upaya meneruskan fitrah kami sebagai hamba-Mu yang senantiasa mengabdi kepadamu, kepada bangsa dan kepada negara. Wa ma khalaqtul jinna wal insa illa liya'budun. Ya Hayyu ya Qayyum ya Dzal Jalali wal Ikram. Engkau yang maha hidup dan maha tegak. Hidup dan tegakkan jiwa, hati dan raga kami agar dapat meraih janji-Mu ya rafa'illahu alladziina amanu minkum walladziina utul ilma darajat. Orang-orang yang beriman dan berilmu dan mendapat kedudukan beberapa derajat, sehingga kami mampu mempertahankan NKRI yang berbineka tunggal ika ini menjadi sebuah negara yang baldatun thayyibatun wa rabbun ghafur, negeri yang aman, yang baik dalam ampunan dan ridha-Mu, negeri yang sejahtera lahir batin, adil dan makmur dalam bingkai Pancasila dan Undang-Undang Dasar Negara Republik tahun 1945. Ya Adil, Ya Azim, Ya Hakim, ya Allah, Engkau yang maha adil, Engkau yang maha agung dan maha bijaksana. Karuniakan kepada kami sifat-sifat adil dan bijaksana, serta muliakan hidup dan kehidupan kami sehingga kami mampu menebarkan dan menegakkan hukum serta keadilan di persada Nusantara ini melalui ilmu yang kami miliki untuk kami sampaikan khususnya kepada para mahasiswa kami sebagai generasi penerus bangsa dan negara ini ya Rabb. Ya Allah, ya Mujibas Sa'ilin, jadikan pertemuan ini tidak hanya wahana kami bil silaturahmi, tapi juga menjadi sebuah silatul fikri dan bahkan silatul amal yang berguna bagi umat, masyarakat, bangsa dan negara yang kami cintai ini ya Allah. Ya Allah, tambahkanlah ilmu kami ya Allah. Rabbi zidna ilma. Karena kami sadar akan firman-Mu, wa ma utitu minal ilmi illa qalila. Kamu diberi ilmu pengetahuan hanya sedikit, namun kami tetap berharap ya Rabb, kiranya kami senantiasa terus mendapatkan ilmu dan mengamalkannya dan sehat wal efat sehingga kami bermanfaat bagi umat. Rabbana 'alaika tawakkalna wa ilaika 'anabna wa ilaikal masir. Wala haula wala quwata illa billahil aliyil azim. Rabbana zalamna anfusana wa illam taghfir lana wa tarhamna lanakunanna minal khasirin. Rabbana taqabbal minna innaka antas samiul 'alim wa tub 'alaina innaka antat tawwabur rahim. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina azabannar. Sallallahu alaihi sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi washabbihi ajma'in. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun. Wassalamun alal mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Taqabbalallahu minkum. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Mas Zul masih di mute.
Thank you for the prayer that have been read. May Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala make the progress of this seminar and we all gain useful knowledge.
Ayyuhal hadirun al-kiram, as-sadatu was-sayyidat. Nantakilu ilal barnamijir ra'isi fi hadzal yaum, al-jalsatal 'ammah للمؤتمر الدولي الخامس للشريعة الإسلامية في إندونيسيا. ومسير الجلسة الفاضل أخينا جارود ديماس أحمد فليتفضل عليه مشكورا.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the time, the main event in this today. Its first plenary session from Professor Dato Ahmad Kamil and Datin Professor Dr. Raihana binti Haji Abdullah. Previously, I will read out the CV of the moderator who will guide the first plenary session, namely is Mr. Jarod Dimas. Is alumni of Faculty of Law, University of Indonesia, and currently working as researcher in Institute for Islamic Studies and Islamic Law, Faculty of Law, University of Indonesia. So now I would like to invite Mr. Jarod to guide the first plenary session. Mr. Jarod, the floor is yours.
Yeah, hello everyone. Thank you so much. My colleague Muhammad Zulfikar. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of Allah, the most gracious and the most merciful, I'm happy to be here today to lead as the moderator in the first plenary. Without further ado, we already have the two prominent speakers here. First is Dr. Raihana Abdullah. She is a professor at the Department of Sharia and Law and the director of the Academy of Islamic Study, University of Malaya, and it's also registered as Sharia lawyer and a certificate mediator whose interests revolve around the Islamic family law, Islamic law, and gender, and also Islamic law and society. Other than that, she is an expert in the area of women human rights, the issue of violence against women, and the human rights of the marginalized group of society, the elderly, children, and people with disability. As a Dean of Faculty of Humanities and Research Cluster from 2015 and 2016, and she is now also the Director of Center for the Civilizational Dialogue from 2011 and 2013, and she was awarded a fellowship with the Freeman Foundation for Salzburg Global Seminar in Scholz Leopoldskron, Salzburg, in Austria, 2008. Please welcome Prof. Raihana. Assalamualaikum, Prof. I hope you are in a good health. And second, we have also prominent speaker. I welcome Mr. Prof. Dato Dr. Ahmad Kamil Maidin Mera. He is currently the managing director of the Consulting Group, and he was a professor in the Faculty of Economics and Management Sciences, International Islamic University Malaysia, and the Dean of the Institute of Islamic Banking and Finance, International Islamic University of Malaya. He holds a PhD degree in finance from the University of North Texas, Denton, Texas, and undergraduate and master degrees were in the area of economics from the International Islamic University Malaysia. His area of interest and expertise include financial market, investment analysis, macroeconomics, economics of social issues, and quantitative method. He has a wide experience in teaching, training, consultancy, and research in the above area. His work have been published in local and international journals. We hope that today's event, we will have a fruitful discussion about the topics itself, about how Islamic law and society and institution alleviating the disaster. Without further ado, I would like to welcome the first speaker, Honorable Professor Dr. Raihana Abdullah. The time is yours.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jarod. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. First of all, I think I would like to say thank you to Fakultas Hukum Universitas Indonesia for inviting me to share my thought and also some ideas in relation to the topic or the theme that is something on the role of Islamic law in global disaster. Secondly, I would like to thank the committee members, especially the Dean, and also Dr. Hero, and also Dr. Widya Ningsih, for and last effort, to organize this kind of an interesting conference. Right. My topic today is something on domestic violence during COVID-19 pandemic. And I think today, up until this moment, we are actually still in the face of COVID-19, and it is not something which is solely in a particular country, but it is also something which is a global pandemic. Okay, next. Okay, right. And as a start, I would like to, very brief actually, the situation nowadays. Okay, the coronavirus, something which is continuing, and it's spread across the world with more than 55 million. I think this statistics actually, for the last 2 days, this current statistics, and cases in 91 countries, and about 1.3 million deaths. And from this total, approximately 40 million recovered or discharged, and 15 million cases are still active. And coronavirus cases have risen over the last few months in several regions of the world, and the rate of infections is still increasing. And the most recent figures show there were more than 600 cases every 24 hours. And the World Health Organization has warned the global death toll would hit 2 million before an effective vaccine is widely used. And we hope everybody is, trying our best, and we pray so that, the experts, can, actually finally can have the vaccine, to cure this fatal virus. And addressing the World Health Assembly this week, WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom said that we might be tired of COVID-19, but it is not tired of us. Okay? And next. And the impact has been broad, affecting general society. And I think everybody actually aware what sort of a grave and huge impact of this coronavirus in the general society, health, economy, culture, and also, can I have the previous, okay, environment, politics, psychology, educations, okay, and recent, not a report, but there's an interview with one of the experts in educations, because nowadays the students is actually having, online, and there's views say that probably in 2021 there will be more illiterate, school students, primary school students, because they probably because of this online, educations rather than face to face from the teachers themselves, and also affect the religious duties. And despite substantial efforts taken to put a halt to COVID-19, there were other issues that were on the rise, as well as that is domestic violence. And statistics shows that the increasing annual trend, and 35 studies from various countries show that 25% to 50% of women have been physically abused by the partner. And domestic violence is one of the greatest challenges for the family institutions in both developed and developing countries. And it is an invisible crime that occurs in each and every society every 6 to 20 seconds. Next. And United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres noting that horrifying global surge has called for a domestic violence ceasefire. And when we mention the term domestic violence, what is exactly domestic violence? We know that domestic violence is recognized in international law as a violation of human rights. Now, at the United Nations, domestic violence or violations against women is actually a violation of human rights. And at the United Nations, we have the rights to equality and freedom from discriminations, like the earlier human rights instruments, the main text of the conventions on the eliminations of all forms of discriminations against women, CEDAW, entered into force in 1981, did not explicitly include language on violence against women or domestic violence. However, CEDAW's primary focus, in which state parties agree to condemn all kinds of discriminations against women in all its forms, was interpreted as covering violence against women. And I think, as we know, Malaysia and as well as Indonesia and many parts of the, the countries in the world are also parties of CEDAW. As described by Rashida Manju, the current United Nations Special Rapporteur on Violence Against Women states must acknowledge that violence against women is not the root problem, but that violence occurs because other forms of discriminations are allowed to flourish. Next. And also, there's a declarations on the eliminations of violence against women, which is adopted by United Nations General Assembly in 1993. And in 2004, the United Nations General Assembly also specifically addressed domestic violence in resolutions 58/147 entitled Eliminations of Domestic Violence Against Women. In this resolutions 58/147, it actually describe on or elaborate what is actually domestic violence. It's not just physical violence, but it also involve, emotional violence, sexual violence, and to some extent, many scholars also says that it also involve financial violence. Next, and we can see that causes of domestic violence, it's a psychological behavior, sometimes because there's a jealousy between, the partners or husband and wife. Cultural influences, the previous family traditional belief that man is unequal to women, and also the issues of alcohol, drugs, and also economic situations. And, during these pandemic situations, to curb the surge of coronavirus, we were asked to stay at home. And this is actually, the moment where many actually NGOs says that it's increased, cases of domestic violence reported in some of the hotlines, okay, and also to some of the, lawyers, NGOs, by saying that during this, movement control order, everywhere actually, the numbers of cases of domestic violence increase. But for the victims, women and girls were confined and trapped in home, and home is no longer a safe place. Actually, for many people, for the majority of people, facing this pandemic, that's the reason. For example, in Malaysia, the government say that you have to stay at home. But for victims of domestic violence, home is no longer a safer place for them. Apart from these causes, the socioeconomics or cultural, situations, there are actually some by saying that, the causes are also because of the Surah An-Nisa ayat 34. And these verses was justified that Islam condoned physical violence. And next. Okay, and this Quranic verse is believed by many actually to be a divine sanctions of wife beating in Islam. And the word actually, the term that used in the Quran, fadribuhunna, okay, is actually raised controversials and also discussions among contemporary scholars or even the Mufassir. Okay, and this is the translations that men are the protectors and maintainers of women because Allah has made one of them excel over the other, and because they spend out of their possessions to support them. These righteous women are obedient and guard the rights of men in their absence under Allah's protections. As for women of whom you fear rebellion, admonish them and remain apart from them in beds and beat them. Fadribuhunna. This is the, some of the translations, the English translations, either they use the word beat them or hit them. Okay, hit them. Okay, next. And therefore, a man is allowed to discipline his wife as her superior, and he also has the authority to beat her if he feels she is being disobedient. And affiliations of religions or affiliating to religion actually to justify domestic violence creates a legal tensions between the state's international law and also the Sharia law. And this is also challenges the primary message of Islam, which is peace and harmony. So there are many cases actually, I think everywhere actually, there are a family or a man who believe that he has the power to control the wife, and they will use religion to justify the act of physical violence towards the wife. Okay. But some of contemporary scholars have used semantic analysis to interpret the key word daraba, okay, as avoiding instead of hitting, and some others have used the maqasid method to encourage women to take actions against men who have mistreated them. And there are actually discussions, in literatures, contemporary literatures, by saying that the word daraba in the Quran have many interpretations, meaning, and also concepts, and not just daraba means hitting. And I think for the past 5 or 10 years, some has said that contemporary scholars they say that probably the word daraba, if it is not translated into hitting, but we can use the word tapping. And tapping means, for example, we tap, at our cell phone, means that not hitting or beating, but we tap, meaning that we touch, if the wife is disobedient, we touch her, and by saying that, you know, you don't have to do this, you have to, follow what the Quran says, that blah, 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 blah. And, you know, this is also one of the things or one of the interpretations from, the contemporary scholars. Okay. Next. Yeah, in Malaysia, as well as like other countries, you know, domestic violence spikes amid lockdown because of the coronavirus infections, and women's rights groups are reporting a substantial increase in calls for help as workers are forced to stay home, running low on food and income. And in the beginning of Malaysia started the movement control order, started in 18th of March 2020. It started increase, you know, women actually calls the hotlines, okay, by saying that, you know, we need help. Yes, some actually raise the issue of financial problems, but we cannot deny the issue of, you know, they have become, the husbands actually commit physical violence to the wife and also to the children. Okay. And the government has been called to take more substantive actions to support women, especially as the lockdown has been extended until the end of the year 2020. The next. And women's group across the nation lambasted the government for its insensitivity, accusing it of victim blaming and normalizing domestic violence. And they also pointed out that under the lockdown, which bans Malaysians from leaving their homes except to buy food in emergency or to access healthcare, cause women and children are more susceptible to domestic violence and abuse. So this is a dilemma actually. We only, or the government only, permit the society or the community to buy food, you know, but at the same time, actually, you know, we need to stay at home. And domestic violence activists, for example, Farah Hanim has reported an increase in domestic violence in the federal housing project just outside Kuala Lumpur where she works. I've received many more calls for help, she said, adding that this was possibly due to overcrowding in cramped close quarters, the loss of income as workers are forced to stay at home, and the subsequent shortage of food and other essential supplies. There are extended families trying to help, but because of the movement control order, then they cannot actually, you know, travel to the other states, you know, to help probably their daughters or whoever actually become the victims of the domestic violence. Next. And women's rights groups have also seen a similar increase in distress calls, with women's aid organizations reporting a 44.4% increase in calls and inquiries between February and March. And domestic violence is about maintaining power and control. In this crisis, isolations and concerns over health and finances can further aggravate an abuser's desire to exert power and control. And noted by Advocacy and Communications Officer at WAO. And next. This is, the statistics. We can just zoom into the orange color, okay? And to show that it's actually increasing. As I said that, the statistics of women actually reported of the physical violence or any kind of, domestic violence, harsh words or mentally tortured and everything, you know. But these statistics actually stop at the April, okay? And not stop at the April, but it actually shows from February to April, okay? Then next. And domestic violence survivors are also at greater risk because they are trapped in the house all day with the abuser, and it's also more dangerous for them to seek help, as the abuser may be monitoring their every move. And under the lockdown, which started on March 18, many of the country's residents have been unable to work, as only those in essential services are allowed to carry out their duties. And as we know that in Malaysia, where small and medium-sized enterprise, including stallholders and family-run setups, make up 90% of the economy, this time of pandemic has seen a huge loss of income. I think this is, experience, for many, many people in the world because of the pandemic. Okay. And because of these situations, it is said it's exacerbated any financial dependence domestic violence survivors had on their abuses. And women from low income groups who are also more drastically affected, as most rely on home and small businesses that have been impacted by the lockdown, and making them fully financially dependent on their spouses. So for many, families or family scholars says that the key words when it says the term, violence against women, which include domestic violence, is about power and control. And next. And as we know that the current crisis impacts survivors who have left their abuses. And according to WHO, Women's Aid Organizations, 30% of former residents from this domestic violence shelter were unable to work. And we can find that many actually NGO are very much concerned of these increasing cases of domestic violence during this, movement control order. Next. And as I said that community people feel NGO are playing very active role in combating violence against women by 3 ways, creating awareness, and the number of cases of violence is much higher in NGO intervention area. And then next, reporting or file cases, situations of NGOs interventions areas is better compared to interventions areas. Assessing relevant public services by accessing the victim's socioeconomic status, NGOs provide necessary victim's family. And next. And this is the end of my presentations. Actually, based from the given current crisis, many countries are witnessing an alarming spike of domestic violence directed to women and girls, as warned by the United Nations Secretary General. And we can see that stress, financial problems, among others, that can exacerbate the risk of domestic violence, and access to some related services such as legal aid, shelter homes or centers, hotlines, volunteer support may be limited and making difficult for women to access the services. And domestic violence impact the well-being of the women throughout their lives. And the community need to prevent the violence and support the victims, as well as safeguard the women's rights. And although there are no explicit, evidence of the increasing cases, but we know that when we look to at the newspaper reports, some of the reports, current reports, and also women, UN women, they are actually evidence by saying that they receive complaints, that there's a physical violence at home. And however, we can say that during this pandemic, women are actually at risk. And we need a comprehensive measures to curb domestic violence, including the counseling, apart from the one that I have mentioned before, that is legal aid, shelter home centers, hotlines, and etc. And my last slide, I conclude by saying that, next, okay. Although they are, sorry, okay, we can see that now or recently 20 million ringgit Malaysia allocated for domestic violence shelters by the government of Malaysia tabled in the recent budget 2021, and that is something which is welcome by many NGOs, women's NGOs, and also women's studies group. And by allocations, this is actually a recognition by the government to protect women from family violence. And my last slide. Okay, what can we do? So we need to have a virtual support mechanisms, because this is actually a new norm that we have to prepare ourselves as a community and make the community informed and aware, and also involve the religious leaders. Because as I said that, some is actually by saying that why the husband commit violence, by saying that because we want to teach our wife, so, teach their disobedient wife, and they use religions to justify their act. Okay. And before I end my presentation, I would like to call everybody, the participants in this conference, by by support the upcoming 25th of November, that will be next week, where it is an international day on the eliminations of violence against women. Then this international day is actually to make the international community as well as us, to aware that violence against women is something which is a violations of women's human rights. I think with that, I conclude my presentations by saying wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah, wassalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much, Professor Raihana. Maybe I would like to conclude a little bit about your presentations. You elaborate that the pandemic situation creates a domestic violence issue, and I hope that it can be solved through the Islamic law and also Islamic institution. Maybe for the participants who want to discuss or ask to Prof. Raihana, you can ask through the chat box. Jadi buat seluruh partisipan yang ingin bertanya atau berdiskusi, silakan menanya atau berdiskusi melalui chat box Zoom ini. Nanti akan saya acknowledge. Thank you. Maybe without further ado, I would like to invite the next speaker, the Honorable Prof. Mr. Ahmed Kamil Merah. The time is yours, sir.
Thank you, Brother Dimas and Dr. Sofian Hassan, Professor Raihana, and distinguished participants. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The title of my presentation, before that, let me thank your esteemed institution for inviting me to give this talk. So I'll give a quick 20 minutes presentation. The title is a productive Wakaf-based model for sustainable relief efforts, okay, for global disasters. So it's a Wakaf-based model for continuous sustainable financing, okay. Okay. Now, if you notice, a lot of people, sometimes we rely on traditional Wakaf, but traditional Wakaf, when you finance, release or whatever, you always have to wait for, in future, people give again and again. So you always wait for contributions, what we say like tangan di bawah, But now the movement or this thing is for us to move towards productive Wakaf. So we are actually working towards creation of Wakaf economy that is based on productive Wakaf, and the center of this economy is called Bank Wakaf. Yeah. So in the whole presentation, once I've given you a structure, which is actually a practical model, it's not a theoretical model. Yeah. Then I will give another model which is being practiced by one yayasan, which is quite interesting. Yeah. So we can discuss in relation to that. So hold on now, not moving. Okay, all right. Huh? So this one, the Wakaf here in a productive Wakaf, the Wakaf and investment, they go hand in hand. We cannot separate them. Why we cannot separate them? I don't know why it is not moving. Someone, am I controlling or you are controlling the other side?
No, I'm not controlling your ICILI, Prof. Can you move it?
Yeah, okay, let me control it, yeah, okay.
Yep.
Okay, so in our model, the investment, as I mentioned to you, the investment in productive enterprises is necessary to make Wakaf sustainable. So that's why we make Wakaf and investment go hand in hand, yeah. Okay, the reason why we do Wakaf-based economy, the reason is actually the foundations come from Quran and Sunnah, where when we give, whether it's sadaqah, zakat, or Wakaf like this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has guaranteed minimum reward for you by 700 times, right? So, okay, you see there's someone is moving the, let me
wait, Audi, can you release the control, please?
And then the second one is, okay, it's not moving. That means you have to move it, yeah.
Wait.
Okay, it's not my screen. Then it's somebody else. Audi screen is being.
It's the committee, sir. Excuse me. Wait.
Okay. Because I prefer to control my own screen.
Maybe you can share your screen, sir.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Good.
Okay.
Okay. Now it works very fast. Okay. So this is the as you can see the ayah from Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guarantees that the reward will come back 700 times. Similarly, if you are grateful, charity is a form of showing gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guarantees also that He'll give more and more if you show gratitude. So, and then the third one, because Wakaf is like a sadaqah jariyah, it continues. Productive for this thing is a sadaqah jariyah. So the charity continues to give us a reward even after the person who gave the charity passes away. Yeah. So these are the reason why the means Wakaf-based model, or Sadaqah-based model can give you rewards, dunya and akhirah. So we formulate the structure of the Wakaf economy based on because of these principles, the things that we learn. Okay. Well, so therefore, Wakaf is Sadaqah Jariyah. When we do the business, it does not end in losses. Tijaratan lan tabur. Okay, now we go to this one. How the structure of the model is simple actually. You see the many businesses This is the bank wakaf, is the center of the bank wakaf economy. So many businesses operating in the economy, they pledge that they will contribute 10% of their net profits to bank wakaf. 10% or even more, it's up to them. But with the current structure is 10%. So when all these businesses, when they give 10% of profits, so the bank wakaf will manage the money. And that money now belongs to the Ummah because it's wakaf money. It no longer belongs to this business. Because this business have already contributed the money as wakaf. So in economics, we call this social capital injection. This is social capital injection opposed to the current structure of a banking system, where the money is actually created through loans, in the present banking system. Whether it's conventional banks or Islamic banks, the banks actually have got the right to create money. But here, this bank is actually capital is injected through businesses. So the bank wakaf will manage the funds, 4 kinds of funds. One is the investment fund. People can invest money with a bank wakaf. So when all people can also give money, this one wakaf contributions or gold contributions as cash wakaf. They can also contribute money. So investments from people can come, contributions of cash wakaf can come. So the bank will manage the funds. So when it manages the wakaf investment, so 60% of the, let's say the investor who putting the money, this is the net profit is divided like this. 60% for investor, 30% for entrepreneur, 10% for the bank wakaf fund. So the bank is actually investing the money on behalf of the investor. So investor gets 60%. So bank wakaf will manage the funds. 40% it will reinvest the money so that it can generate more and more. Then 30% for mawquf alay, which is the beneficiaries. So here the beneficiaries can be international relief efforts can also can become a beneficiary. So 30% is for allocated for that. 10% for Qardul Hasan microfinance. 10% for reserve fund. I will tell why the reserve fund is important. And 10% for operations. That means for running the entire thing, running the bank. So it's allocated 10% for operation. So that is the the first one, investment account. So remember just now I said 30% of the money, 40% of the money is reinvested. So that money is also managed by bank wakaf, reinvestment money. So when money is reinvested, the bank will get 70% of the net profit. Why 70%? Because 60% of the investors' money also goes for the bank wakaf, because the bank wakaf now becomes the investor. And then the fourth fund is the reserve fund. The reserve fund is actually for contingency purposes. If anything happen, calamities or sudden shocks, then we can use the reserve fund to protect the banking operations and the investment. So that is the reserve fund. I'll come to that in a moment. Therefore, bank wakaf is a trust fund. It belongs to the ummah. Okay, it belongs to the ummah for the benefit of the ummah. It belongs to ummah for the benefit of the ummah. So this is one example. This is a wood business, kayu, perniagaan kayu di Pekalongan di Jakarta, di bukan Jakarta, di mana, di Jawa, di Pekalongan. So you see, this is the 2019 account. So you can see these are the profit monthly, January, February, sebagainya. And this is the profit for the operator or entrepreneur. This is 10%. 10% goes for wakaf. And this is for investor. Investor get 60%. So the money is divided like that. So for 2019, the net profit is 1 billion rupiah, and this is the total wakaf contribution. When you can see in the account, yeah, this is the total wakaf contribution. So now here you can see this is the reinvestment fund. When the money, the 40% is reinvested in productive business, the bank wakaf becomes the investor. Jadi this 60% plus this 10%, together 70% belongs to bank wakaf. Okay. So that money, when it grows and grows, 30% boleh digunakan untuk mauquf alaih. Alright. Now these are the sources and uses of fund when we do the financing. So bank wakaf will actually sit in the, and they will get the money injected through businesses, the marks, the 10%, yeah. But they also have the sunduk wakaf, which is the tabung wakaf, money contributed by individuals, corporations, and NGOs. Also they contribute, yeah. But when the money is reinvested, the bank will get 70%, yeah, 70%. So the money is used for what? The money is used for mostly human capital development. Now, if you look into which is food, health, education, shelter. So in any calamities, macam global disaster, when you need global relief, normally you have to, this is what you need. You need to give people food, you have to take care of their health, and then some shelter, and also education. So these are the 4 things, but once bank wakaf money grows, we can also look into other economic networks, like what we call, transportation, utilities like water, electricity, and so forth, yeah. So I'm putting here, they can give to many hospitals, use the money to, finance hospitals, clinics, dialysis center, and so forth. But one is to also help the poor and needy. Help the poor, the needy are people who are stricken by calamities like disaster, global disaster, and so on. So when we create people with human capital development, with education is very important to create human capital development, so that next time they become contributor here. So the philosophy of wakaf economy is that every human being or every person is an asset to each other. Whether you are rich or poor, black or white, or whether you are even Muslim or non-Muslim, we are all asset to each other. That's why in life we enjoy a lot of things, shirt, the spectacle, the pen, and so forth. We enjoy all this, but we do not know how to make them. We drive a car, we do not know how to make them because these are produced by others with other people's knowledge. Most of it that we enjoy. So other people are asset to us. That's why we enjoy all this. Yeah. So that is the reason financing, food, health, education, shelter are normally public goods, so that everybody can enjoy, including the poor people. So later, the poor person can become somebody who can contribute to society. Yeah. So when we see mauquf alaih, it is not welfare you're doing. It's not welfare. Even a relief effort is actually not welfare. It is our investment in human capital, so that even our life will become better in the future, so that they will become contributors in the future. Okay. Okay, now you can see this is the basic wakaf productive model. The basic model is this: investors can provide funds to the bank wakaf. This sunduk wakaf is more like sadaqah. It is already given to the bank wakaf. You're not expecting any profits back, but investors, they want some profits. Even tabung masjid, tabung masjid, every Friday collect a lot of money. Part of the money can be invested for profit. Bukannya bank wakaf ambil duit tabung, ya, bukan. Bank wakaf akan menggunakan, melabur tabung masjid dalam projek-projek wakaf, projects, dan keuntungannya dibahagikan antara bank wakaf dan investor. So when you are investing, for example, in wakaf farm, and other wakaf macam-macam we have. So we will enjoy the profits, and part of the profit will go for the mawquf alayhi. For example, even disaster. I'm putting an example of hospital, but it can also go for disaster relief. So in this model, wakaf productive model, you can see there's economic empowerment. Not simply macam sedekah you terima wang sedekah and then we belanja habis. Yeah, tak. This one is productive. It's creating new projects. It's creating job creation, employment. Yeah, it's creating employment, and it also helps towards attainment of sustainable development goals. Yeah. So this is the basic model. We have other models including gold and sebagainya, dengan emas dan sebagainya included. Okay, this is the basic model. So this is basically the reserve fund that I mentioned. 10% of the money goes for reserve fund, bank wakaf's money. So with the reserve fund, 40% of the money is placed in land and properties that can actually earn in rental, sewa. So 40%, yeah. 20% disimpan dalam emas ataupun gold, then 40% in cash and shares. So you see about 60% of money is kept very liquid. If anything happened to business, any losses, sudden shock, we need money, we can use the money from the reserve. Supaya kita tak perlu pinjam duit. You see, many countries when they have good reserve, the economy is strong, their currency also strong. So they don't have to borrow money from IMF, World Bank dan sebagainya. Take Singapore for example. So we must structure our economy like that. We must have good reserves. This is the then 10% is for operation, to manage the fund, bank wakaf. To run bank wakaf, we need money. So 10% goes for the bank wakaf operations untuk nazir, mutawali, the premises, sewa ataupun office staff. And bank wakaf employs professional fund managers, those who have masters, or PhD or degree in investment management and sebagainya untuk to run the business, so that the money is amanah, can be invested properly, and also the risk management is done properly. And nowadays we will also have to go towards IT. A lot of people do everything using their handphone. So we have to do apps, wakaf apps, so that people can invest just using the app, and they can see their report, how much profit they're making, who are the mawquf alayhi, semuanya boleh di-access using mobile app. So this is where the operations money will go. So, so therefore, to summarize just the structure of the bank wakaf or wakaf economy model, the bank wakaf is a global trust fund that belongs to none but the ummah. So it's from ummah for the benefit and empowerment of the ummah. So benefit that includes relief, disaster relief dan sebagainya, including. But of course, when we do that, we can also help the non-Muslims. Yeah, it's not only for Muslims, especially when you help disaster-stricken places. So the structure is like this. For example, let's say you have a bank wakaf at regional level. It's collecting money, regional level. So 80% of the funds with the bank wakaf will be used for the region, to help the people in the region. 20% go higher to the national level or to the state level. Then state or a province money, 80% of that will be used within the state, 20% will go for national level, to bank wakaf national. Then bank wakaf national will use the funds, 80% of the money for national. Let's say suddenly there is a calamity, or in some places, there's an earthquake or there's a tsunami or whatever. So the national money can be used for helping. And 20% you even go higher to a bank wakaf international. So it goes to the high bank wakaf international. They can look into international, use of funds. When there's an international disaster, you have to give, okay, there's something in Haiti or something in other countries, you can provide assistance. So this is how the from Bank Wakaf from regional until the international is structured, how they contribute money. Yeah. To be frank, this is still theoretical, because mostly we are just doing at the regional or national level only. Yeah. So to give an example of, let's say there's a calamity-stricken area, you need to do a temporary hospital or whatever. So you see, the Bank Wakaf can finance the capex, capital expenditure, the construction cost of the hospital, the equipments, the scanning machines and everything can be financed using the Wakaf money. Okay, so that you can reduce the bill for patient. So when patient comes, they don't have to pay that one. For equipment, the use of, let's say, ultra scanning sebagainya, tidak perlu dibayar sebab sudah dibereskan oleh Bank Wakaf. Perlu dibayar hanya the OPEX, the fee for the doctor, for fee for the nurse, medicine and sebagainya. But if the Bank Wakaf is strong enough, it has funding from international listings, just like Bank Wakaf International. So even the expenditure for doctors, nurses, and medicine also can be covered. Sometimes in relief operations, even doctors and nurses, they volunteer their services. So they are wakafkan their services. So therefore it can reduce. So both can come in and help out. So basically this is when you don't have a structure like this, like in the modern situation, when a patient goes to hospital, they have to pay for the doctor, the nurse, the medicine, the katil, they're staying, the hospital cost, everything is included, the capex and opex. Jadi the bill is high. So now let me share with you a simple model, a slightly modified version by model Yayasan Dana Kebajikan Muslim Malaysia, which I talked to the person in charge. This is the the person who's running it, Dr. Muhammad Hizul Azri. He actually studied in Indonesia. So most like maybe the model also, maybe such model exists in Indonesia, but I'm not know. But this model is a beautiful model, so I would like to share with you. Yeah. So Dr. Hizul is running, for example, My Fund Action. It's a food helping people, the poor people, needy people, with 10,000 boxes per month. Every month, 10,000 boxes of food items. They can last for 1 month for about 4 people. They provide. And he has also a My Heart, is a Wakaf hospital for heart patients. Heart patients, it's running it. So they do a lot of dawah work, dawah. So both is dawah and charity. Okay, how do they work? Now this is the model. It is similar, both investment and expenditure. That means they have, the model is a productive Wakaf model, or you can say productive infaq model, because they do a lot of crowdfunding also. Okay, so they do crowdfunding, and initially also I'm sure they would have had capital, so they get a lot of funding. With that, they invest in businesses also. So it's got a food packaging business, very interesting food packaging business that packages food, immediately seals them. After masak saja, terus seal, so it can last for about 1.5 years to 2 years of shelf life without getting spoiled. Bukannya dia terus makan, tidak perlu dipanaskan. So this kind of thing is very good for relief operations, actions. When you bring want to give food to war areas, macam Syria, or you can just give them, and immediately they eat it. Tak payah, tak perlu dipanaskan. So they have plantations. He's even looking at animal farm in New Zealand, So they have businesses, about 50 businesses operating. Okay, so it provides the funds, and the funds are used for relief, international relief efforts. They have built houses in Syria for refugees. They have given money to Japan for, da'wah centers, completely they buy da'wah centers for them. So he runs My Heart, and another one called Action Fund, like as I mentioned to you just now earlier, the Action Fund. All these are, they finance education, schools, give scholarships for people to even, some of them study overseas, they study medicine, they become professional fund managers, accountants, finance people, dan sebagainya. But one important this thing that this yayasan, Dr. Hizul is doing is tarbiyah and train youth. So he gives them Islamic knowledge, education. Make sure they practice the Islam, in their daily this thing. And then they have Islamic character building. And then they teach them skills and business, how to do business, and also how to do the voluntary relief efforts. So when you train them, so they can help in the relief efforts. The youngsters can help in the relief efforts. Then those who become good skilled entrepreneurs, who graduate become entrepreneurs, they also get their training and training from the existing businesses. They can be placed there as internship. They do internship, or you can call apprentice. Then they after they graduate, they can be chosen to take or run additional businesses. They can choose, okay, you want to do more mats or more plantation, whatever. They can go and do business, and the yayasan will finance them. So you see, the businesses here actually run by their own trained youths. So youths who are trained here in education, they are the ones running the businesses here. So I believe that certain percentages, just like our wakaf, bank wakaf model, a certain percentage of the profit goes back to the yayasan, so that the yayasan can continue to do its efforts. So you notice what the yayasan is doing. They are investing in businesses. They are investing in human capital here, Islamic human capital, right? So that they become contributors in the future. And one interesting feature he also has in yayasan is that they have a monthly accounting and finance of all these people. All these businesses are monitored by professionals. And these professionals are also trained by them, when they go, some of them, they go to overseas study, finance, accounting people. When they come back, they join here. So every month, all these businesses will have to give their accounts and be monitored that they are managing the finance, the business correctly. Otherwise, they will advise them, do this, do that, so that you don't make financial mistakes. By doing that, you also lower the character risk. The character risk is sometimes when you give financing to some business people, when they don't have the right character, they cheat. Bank Wakaf has had examples, experiences when you give money to business. On paper, it looks very good business. So when you give money, then after 1 month, they tell you, oh, sorry, the business all lost, the money all gone. Just 1 month only, So that is a character risk. But when you have youth tarbiyah like this, and then you are monitored, accounts are monitored, and if you also do all these accounts digitized with digitalized, then you can reduce this character risk a lot, and you can make a better management of the business and better profits. So you see, so this is a very beautiful, successful model. It's a actual model. We're not talking theory here. So you see, so this is the model now I kind of pushing, because it's comprehensive. You can do a lot of relief efforts, and there's continuous funding. Your own business, there's also contribution from the public, the Sunduk Wakaf, partly also coming from crowdfunding. Yeah. So basically, that's how we strengthen the entire economy can be strengthened between investors and entrepreneurs, and then you also help those who are weak in the economy, poor in the economy, to let them also come up in the economy, educate them, train them. So we with the transparency and blockchain, we have like a blockchain technology to increase transparency in the whole thing, governance, and so forth. Yeah. And then you can, as I mentioned earlier, mobile-based investment, dashboard reporting, and so forth. Okay, that's basically my presentation. Wallahu alam bisawab. And if you have any questions, maybe later you can forward to me, because I have some other work to attend to after this. So I thank you again for inviting me. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much, Professor Ahmad Kamil. Due to his work, maybe he may leave early. So we are moving to the question and answer sessions. Mr. Professor Ahmad Kamil, do you able to answer one or two questions?
Can.
All right. Maybe excuse me for yeah. Maybe I would like to convey the question first to Professor Ahmad Kamil Mera. Here we already have several questions. Yes, first is about, from Dr. Cucu Solihah. He asked about, is there any needs for a special wakaf institution to promote the usefulness and the safe wakaf itself, like in like Basnas in Indonesia?
Like what? Like
Basnas, Badan, yes.
Wakaf National. Okay, you see, if it's done by international, like Badan National Wakaf Indonesia ataupun National Tabung National Wakaf will be the best. It will be the best because you can do, you can do national funding and then you can do all this at a very large scale. But if it is not there, you can also at a very individual level. For example, when the bank wakaf started, it was started by by a person called Dr. Abu Baida. So he just with his own businesses, like the one I showed you, like the business Kayu, and he's got chocolate. Those businesses I showed you. Actually, all those are actually existing. Business chocolate in Philippines, Sekolah. Jururawatan di Thailand dan sebagainya. So they all contribute 10% of their profit to the wakaf. So he himself manages the 10% initially wakaf, and then he distributes. So that money is basically is your own money. Your own money already allocated for wakaf, you are managing it. You see? But as it grows and other people contribute money, other businesses who are not part of you also contribute money, then governance and transparency will become important. So this is where institutions like Badan Wakaf National Indonesia can come and play the role of governance. Let the management of the funds by professionals. You become like a central bank. Central bank govern commercial bank. So Badan Wakaf govern the industry or the wakaf, everybody. You become a governor of the industry, but let professionals manage the funds. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Professor Ahmad Kamil. There are follow-up questions from Helzanov Nova. She asked about how to make a good management or model for controlling for wakaf, including so the wakif can know continuous distribution on wakaf to muwakuf aliyah.
Yeah, one of them, as I mentioned, thank you for the question. One of that I mentioned just now is the use of two things we can do. One is, the digitization. When you digitize the accounts and everything for the company, and if it comes to us every month, and then professionals are looking at the accounts every month, correct? So if anything goes wrong, they can easily detect early. You detect early, something wrong with this business, and then you can go and find out what is going wrong. You can, right? So we will also follow IOFI's, the IOFI standards, Wakaf governance standards can be adopted. So that all Wakaf institutions, you must follow this standard. So that we know how the funds are being managed, how the funds are being given to Mawquf Alayh. Who are the Mawquf Alayh, and so you can, therefore, the governance and transparency can be improved using like IOFI's governance structure. We can digitize the thing, digitize all the operations, and also using, like just now I mentioned to you, the accounts are passing through some professionals all the time, periodically, setiap bulan. So when you look at it, you can give suggestions. So this way you can reduce the any misappropriation or sometimes inefficiency in managing the funds. Yeah, and also improve trustworthiness. You see, that's one good thing. If you can report how the Mawquf Alayhis getting the benefits, if you can report, if somebody can see on a dashboard of on your phone how the money is being utilized, people will be willing to give more money. They will give more money because they trust you, isn't it? So that is the thing that you must try to achieve by doing all this. I hope I answered the question.
Yeah, thank you so much, Professor Ahmed Kamil Merah. There are no questions left.
Okay.
Oh,
so thank you very much.
Okay.
For
Yeah,
inviting
thank you
me.
so much.
I wish
Thank you so much for your
the
time.
conference a success. Yeah.
Amin.
Amin. Thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Yeah. Next, Professor Raihana, can you hear us?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, there is a lot of question for you, Professor. Maybe because of your material is quite interesting for women, actually. Yeah, the first question is coming from Mrs. Wismar Ain. I will read it in English. The question is in Bahasa. I will read it in English. Mrs. Wismar Ain asks about, there is a case of a Malaysia husband and an Indonesian wife. Then the Malaysia husband go home to the Malaysia for 5 months without giving any nafkah or money to his wife. However, according Malaysia law, his wife can ask for a nafkah, for money to her husband. Yeah, that's the question.
Sorry. Okay. Both of them actually they marry in Indonesia or in
Indonesia. They marry Indonesia.
Okay. So they have the Indonesian certificate, marriage certificate.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. According to the Malaysian law, whoever actually Malaysians, married outside Malaysia, and when they come back to Malaysia within 6 months, actually they have to register. Just register, because the authority just will check whether the marriage certificate is a valid one. Although you married in London or in Cairo, it's okay. It doesn't matter. Okay, and if let's say they have the husband registered the marriage according to the Malaysian law, in other words, they have already the valid marriage certificate according to the Malaysian law, and the wife actually can come to the court and ask for nafkah for the husband, because the husband neglect. You need to pay the nafkah, and of course you have to follow several provisions provided in the law.
Maybe the follow-up question is the marriage itself are registered on Malaysia? Can the Malaysia law enforce in Indonesia? Like maybe like the swami or the husband should give a nafkah to his wife.
Okay. We actually the court actually can issue the order, okay, that the husband has to pay the nafkah, for certain amount and everything. But the issue is the enforcement. Okay, the enforcement, whether the order issued by the Sharia courts in Malaysia can be enforced in the other countries, or the other, in Indonesia or other countries. So that's the issue actually here. Okay, but as I say, that if the wife and the husband has a valid marriage according to the Malaysian law, or according to the authority, then there shouldn't be any problem. She can stay, for example, in Malaysia, then she can claim for the nafkah. Because I think any countries, we try to avoid any technicalities, okay, because this is for the issue, for the benefits of the women and the children. Okay.
Yep. Okay, thank you so much, Professor. Maybe there are several questions more. This is coming from Irma from Unmul. Maybe to make the discussion more fruitful, I invite fh.irma Unmul. Maybe you can deliver your question yourself if you're still with us. Hello, Irma Unmul.
Thank you, Mr.
Yes.
Chabat, for
Yes.
time for us.
Yeah.
The Honorable, the Speaker, Prof. Raihana, thank you very much for your sharing about the condition in Malaysia. As we know that domestic violence always grows in any countries, including in Indonesia and also in Malaysia. We know that the peak when global, when we know that when pandemic spread out in our countries, and actually domestic violence has been occurred in our institution family. It is reality, maybe not only from the husband, but also from the wife, the mother, when they do their duty in the home to teach the children, to do the homework from the home. This is many problems there. So the domestic violence has occurred in family. So how to solve this problem according to maybe from Malaysia affairs, maybe from Institute Women Affairs from Malaysia, maybe have a solution for that. We know that in Indonesian, the problem has always come to the family. Maybe we can get information about that, how to protect the children, how to protect the wife from the violence. I think like that. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Terima kasih, Ibu. I think I have mentioned, in the beginning that domestic violence is about power and control. Okay. And in many of the cases during this pandemic time, since women are really depend on the husbands, for their finance and everything. So this is, this is the time where the power and control comes in. Okay. If, let's say, apart from that, that during this pandemic we are locked down in our home, and there's emotional stress. I think not just the wife, even the other families, the children, and also our extended family. So we are facing the same emotional distress or stress during this pandemic, especially because of these economic issues. So what I'm trying to say that early detections, we can try to solve the problem if we can detect it early. Okay, before the husband or anyone commit this physical violence, for example. So we can see that there's a verbal violence, because as I said, that domestic violence is not just about physical, but it is also about emotional, it's about verbal, and it's also about sexual violence. So early detections means that the abuser keep on saying bad things about the wife, and later on, in many cases, then they will commit physical violence. So I think many of these women's institutions or women's NGO, they help actually. As I said, that we need a comprehensive measures, to solve this kind of problem. But I think I would say that the key word is to empower women. We are not trying to say that empowering women to be so powerful. No, empowering women that we need changes to to the women actually, and try to change and become economically independent. So when during this time, the pandemic time, we need to empower women so that they become economically independent, not depend on the the so-called potential abuser or the abuser. So as I said, that power and control is the main keyword here. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much, Professor. Is that enough, Mrs. Irma Unmul? Did you get the answer?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. The next question is from Adelia Novianti. Would you like to present it to the professor yourself, Mrs. Adelia Novianti, or I just translate it to English and I just convey your questions? Hello, Mr. Adelia Novianti. Mrs. Adelia Novianti, you're still with us? Or maybe I just convey your question, okay? So the question is here. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Professor, my name is Adelia Novianti from Faculty of Law, Universitas Mula Warman. I have a question and I want to ask about, to Professor Raihana. I need your comment on this case. Is there any alternative solutions to discipline a wife without violence or without touching or punching in the face? Because as you were explained on the presentations, when the husband hit the wife for to discipline her, there are Al-Quran ayah about it, which is it can be done according to Al-Quran ayah, but it's actually violate the law of the country. Especially in Indonesia, it's called penganiayaan in Indonesia. So how do you comment on that?
Yeah, I think I have mentioned in my presentations by saying that the word wadribuhunna, or the word daraba, has been translated ever since as hitting or beating, So the word hitting and beating, because you also mentioned punching, they don't translate as punching, but the word hitting and beating means something like that, And the effect of beating and hitting is something like bruises, blood, bleeding, and something like that. This is not in the message of the Quran. The message of the Quran, husband and wife, is wa'ashiruhunna bil ma'ruf. That is, you have to deal husband and wife with ma'ruf. So that is the reason why I say we need the religious leaders to explain. The word daraba does not only refer to hitting and beating, but we can translate or interpret the word daraba, meaning like I say, you touch your wife like this, you touch, not hitting, but you touch your wife by saying that, come, let me show you something, of course, some other people say that what's the difference between the fa'izuhunna Okay, but what I'm trying to say is that violence is not actually a message in the Quran. Okay, and there are actually other interpretations of the word daraba. Okay, that is one, and also our Prophet Muhammad is the best example and model where our Prophet Muhammad never ever actually do violence to all his wives. So why can't we actually, follow our Prophet Muhammad as a model in, in a family institution? So as I said that, at the end of my slides, I said that we need actually, the religious leaders, to explain. For me, I'm saying that try to avoid the use hitting and beating. Otherwise, people will say that Islam actually encourage violence, even in the family institutions. That is one, according to the explanations, my explanations about, or my interpretation, my views or opinions, actually my opinions on the word fadribuhunna. But in the cultural aspect, actually, the early educations, we can use the early educations. We can teach our kids actually, to respect, between girls and boys. We cannot allow boys, to hit girls. Although they say that, oh, there are kids, but as I say that, this is an early education that we must educate our kids by saying that you cannot hit or beat whoever, including women. So that is something that you can educate our kids. So this is the cultural aspect of understanding the word, how actually to educate, for example, the so-called disobedient wife, because the word in Surah An-Nisa verse 34 is actually the word nushus. But you have to remember, the same surah, there's also the nushus, among the husband. Okay, so the nushus is actually, the wife is also can become a nushus, and also the husband also can become a nushus. Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much for your answer, Professor Rahana. Maybe this is the one last questions. It's more practical, or maybe it's practical questions about from Andriana. Maybe Miss Andriana would like to convey your question yourself. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thanks for the time. I want to ask Professor Raihana.
Yes.
Whether Islamic law, Malaysian national law, and international law can be respondingly implemented to give protection for women during pandemic.
You mean on domestic violence?
Yes.
It's actually we have actually the law. I think in Indonesia also you have the law, the kekerasan rumah tangga. So we have the Domestic Violence Act 1994, and also Malaysia is also rectified with the International Conventions on the Eliminations of Discriminations Against Women. We are also parties of that conventions. So although there's critics about the law Domestic Violence Act, but there's a something that we need to improve in terms of to managing the domestic violence in terms of the legal aspect. But I think when we have this law, the national law, nowadays we cannot say, let's say a woman, complain or report to the police report by saying that, she's the victim of her husband's physical violence. you know, the police cannot say that you have to go back and saying that this is a family matters. No longer that kind of you know, that kind of thinking. So the police has to take that report, and the wife actually must have a medical report, police report, and she also can you know, apply for divorce. And you know, by saying that this is the police report, this is a medical report, the evidence shows that yes, the physical violence is actually happened. So in many cases, I can see that in many cases at the Sharia courts, the Sharia courts actually did not tolerate in terms of when the evidence is actually clear cut, okay, and that means that the wife can get the divorce, okay. And the issue, not the issue, this is the, when it comes to the technical, you know. So when she wanted to go for divorce, she had to go to the Sharia courts, to another court. And then when she asked for, you know, the husband for the punishments of domestic violence, then she has to go to another court. So these are some of the issues, you know, that we are facing, you know, different kind of courts. And I think this is something that we have to, you know, to find the solutions, because the victims of domestic violence, you know, is something that, as I said that in my presentations, is it will affect their well-being, not just today, but is you know, long after, you know, the well-being of their life. So these are the things that I think that we need. There are certain, the law is already there, but there are certain technical procedures that we need to tighten up so that women is being protected.
Yep. Thank you so much, Prof. Raihana, for your great and wide explanations. Maybe, is there any more questions from the floor? Seeing none, we still have 30 minutes time until 12:00, the allotted time. Maybe if you would like to discuss more with Professor Raihana, you still have the time to ask. If not, maybe I will ask one question, Prof.
Yes.
Let me, because I'm very curious about this, about the Convention of Elimination all form of discrimination against women. I see that from my study in university, I know that Malaysia reserved one of the article of CEDAW itself. Maybe I would like to ask to you why Malaysia reserved one of the article of CEDAW, and when I continue searching about the CEDAW implementation in Malaysia, is actually CEDAW is enacted in Malaysia not by ratification but by continuations by the Malaysian system of sovereign Malaysia system with the United Kingdom. Maybe you would like to explain us more about how the women rights, especially housewife right, are enacted or it's implemented by the Malaysia law.
It's not just one provisions that reserved by Malaysia. I think we have I think 3 or 4, I can't remember. And one of the something which is you know, how you explain it actually, because you know, every 5 years you have to you know, report and explain to the United Nations on what you have done and why you are still you make the reservations. I think not just Malaysia reserve, I think other countries, especially if we look at Iran and United States, they are not also rectify CEDAW. Okay, I think this is something which is something else that we want to discuss. There's pressure by the women's groups, to ask Malaysia to rectify all the provisions. And I think one of the provision is something that is an equal to enter marriage, where some interpret the equal to enter marriage means that if the husband, if the wife can marry another one husband, so the husband must also marry another one wife, something like that, equal. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, the provisions did not mention about polygamy, but this is how the Malaysians actually authority, define where the national law actually permit Malaysian husbands, Muslims husbands, to marry another wife. I think even in Indonesia, but with limited administration's rules and regulations. Okay. But I remembered I asked one of my colleagues actually, because in Indonesia, if I'm not mistaken, there's no reservations unless one at the end of CEDAW, if I'm not mistaken.
That's true. That's true.
So I asked, how do you deal with polygamous marriage? Whereas Malaysia and Indonesia, we have the same provisions of administrative permissions to enter a polygamous marriage for a Muslim husband. And this is how, if I'm not mistaken, the Indonesians explained to the authority at the United Nations. There's no reservations, but for the time being, let it be. Okay. There's no reservations. Okay, we actually follow everything. We agree with all the provisions, but we are not going to say that the polygamous marriages is it's not permitted, because the culture, the community, the society are not ready to have that kind of a big reform, if I say that. Yeah. So this is how you explain to them, meaning that okay, now at the moment we are not ready yet, but at the same time we agree to rectify everything. But in Malaysia, in the beginning they say that, oh no, this is something which is against the law, the Malaysian law, because you cannot say that the husband is not permitted to polygamous marriage. For me, it's just that the interpretations, how you explain. But for Indonesia and Malaysia, I think it's the same. This is how you explain to the authority.
Yeah, that's so interesting, Professor. Yeah, maybe thank you so much for your answer. Maybe after this, the session will be end. Maybe I would like to say thank you again to Professor Dato Ahmed Kamel. He already left because due to another sessions. And also I would like also to thank to Professor Raihana. Thank you for the time. Thank you for the ilmi. Thank you for the ilmu. Thank you for the knowledge. May the ilmu that you're convey, it will be jariyah for you. Alhamdulillah.
Thank you.
May also I wish you are good health and thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Yeah. I would like to return the event to the Master of Ceremony.
thank you for the speaker, the material that has been delivered. Information from the chief executive, the speaker certificate will be submitted by the committee via virtual. To those on duty are welcome, please.
Please wait a little bit. Wait. Okay. Wait. I just need to reshare it again. Yes.
Thank you for Professor Datin Professor Dr. Raihana binti Haji Abdullah. Okay.
Yep. Maybe I would like to thank you for Professor Raihana binti Haji as a plenary speaker in the fifth International Conference on Islamic Law in Indonesia about the role of Islamic laws and Islamic institutions dealing with the global disaster on this Tuesday, 17th of November 2020. Thank you so much. This is a kind of ceremony that we cannot give you by physically because we are meet through the online. Maybe just as a symbol, we give you this certificate as a form of our gratitude. Thank you so much once again for Professor Raihana binti Haji.
Okay. Thank you for Professor Raihana. For the participant, the committee will take photos first, so turn on the participant camera. Thank you. Untuk para peserta, panitia akan mengambil foto, jadi minta kesediaannya untuk menghidupkan kameranya. Terima kasih. The committee is ready.
Yep. I will initiate the screenshot through my system. So please see to the camera. I will count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Say cheese. Once more. 1, 2, 3. Say cheese. Okay, and then there are a lot of participants. Maybe I would like to move to another pages. So 1, 2, 3. Say cheese. Again, the next pages. Oh, the camera is inactive. Yeah, so yeah, it's okay. Maybe one more. 1, 2, 3. Say cheese. Yeah, thank you so much for your participation. Please, Mr. MC, please, you can continue.
Okay, the next event is break session. We will go back into the Zoom room according to each parallel class at 13 o'clock. Please panelists attend early. Untuk acara selanjutnya adalah istirahat. Silakan kembali lagi ke ruangan Zoom sesuai dengan nanti paralel kelasnya mulai jam 1 dan diharapkan kepada para peserta untuk datang lebih awal sebelum jam 1. Thus the series of event on today activity. Hopefully what we get in this activity can be useful. Amin.
Ayyuhal hadirun al-kiram as-sadah was-sayyidat wasolna ila khitami barnamijna hadzal yaum ana Nurul Hikmah wa akhina Muhammad Zulfikar natlubul afwa minkum wa nashkurukum ala husni ihtimamikum. Tsumma
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.